parable that I've seen people abuse a lot is the parable of the offering of the widow. I think it's in Mark chapter 12, I think. The offering of the widow in Mark chapter 12. I think when you read in verse 41. It has been abused with information that is not there. That parable, it speaks about the widow who gave more than the rich people of that time. The Bible says, as Jesus was observing them, he saw the widow putting his last coins. And he commended, he said, this widow, I tell you, he gave more than all of them. Because they gave from their wealth, which was still remaining behind. But she gave from what she had to live on. That parable does not tell us certain information. It does not tell us what happened to the widow after she gave. The widow could have died of hunger, could have remained in poverty after that. Or maybe she was not even a true widow, according to the book of Timothy. She could have had an uncle, she could have had a sister, she could have had an elder son or daughter who took her in because she had no money. She was poor. She could have had a supernatural blessing, like the widows in the book of Kings. Anything could have happened, but we don't have any information of what happened. Where's the good could have happened? We don't know. So you cannot use that parable to encourage people to give like the widow. You can't tell people, give like the widow who gave his last. You must tell them what happened to the widow after she gave. You can't just encourage people, give like the widow, without telling them what happened to the widow. It is not just about giving like a widow. You must tell us, what will happen if I give like a widow? So a parable doesn't give you certain information because it's not important for a parable. So this parable, the importance of it is to teach you how God measures an offering. It teaches you that God does not measure an offering by the quantity. He does not measure by the amount that you put, but he measures it by how much remains behind in proportion to what you are giving. That is why when you listen, there's a teaching I've done about the Isaac offering. I encourage you to listen to that teaching. I did a 2-part series on an Isaac offering, about people who encourage you to give your Isaac without understanding the principle about Isaac. There's a teaching like that. You can check the link down on this video. You don't just encourage people to give without understanding the parable. The parable of the widow, it is not there for you to encourage people to give like the widow. Because if you do that, tell them what happened to the widow. You can't give like a widow if you don't know what happened to the widow. It is not there for that. You don't tell people give like a widow. You teach them how to understand the value or the measure of an offering. You tell them, if you want to understand how much you are giving, how much God measures your giving, he measures it by what remains behind. That's the end of the offering. That's the end of the parable. That is why Jesus, after he told them what it meant, he ended there. He never said to them, give like a widow. He just said he gave more than. Because of this, the parable ended.
See a link that you can click on that will direct you to all the BIL books available on Amazon. Then you can go right ahead and make your purchase. Happy reading!